With homicides surging right now in Oakland, some city leaders are calling for an expansion of the police department's Ceasefire program. The Violence Prevention Unit brings together police officers and community groups for outreach work designed to get people to put down their guns. Oakland was the first city in the country to implement this unique approach to the problem, but the pandemic has limited how this unit operates. For more on the role of this program and where things stand now, we're joined by Oakland Police Captain Tony Jones, who runs that Ceasefire program. Captain, great to have you on. Appreciate your time. Let's
good to be with you, Alex.
Absolutely. Let's start with where things stand right now. During COVID, Ceasefire team members couldn't meet people in person. They had to limit services in certain ways. Has the program been truly effective at trying to prevent violence during the pandemic?
What we do know is that we've had a long history of gun violence in Oakland, and when we implemented Ceasefire from 2012 to 2018, we were able to cut shootings and homicides in half. And going into the pandemic, we were averaging about 2 homicides per month, and then immediately once the shelter-in-place orders went into effect because of COVID-19, we began to see our homicides numbers spike to 8 per month. And so the pandemic definitely created some challenges for the police department and our partners in how we carry out Ceasefire to reduce gun violence in the city.
All right, so where do things stand in terms of the number of officers that you have in the Ceasefire unit right now, and where do things need to be in your mind?
So we did suffer some cuts to Ceasefire through attrition, through budget cuts. We were reduced to half, actually, at one point. But Chief Armstrong upped the personnel in Ceasefire recently, and so we're going to be able to have more of an impact on the violence, hopefully, with the increase in staffing, and just being able to be in the community more, working with our partners on the gun violence in the city.
Is funding an issue here? Do you need more funding from the city in order to really get this program, back to where it should be, sort of a pre-pandemic level of operating?
I think what's more important than the funding is the partnerships that we have. The components of Ceasefire, everything has to work together. And we've been experiencing some challenges with a number of our partners, particularly with the courts. When people are shooting people in the streets and we're communicating, the police and the community together are communicating with people who are involved in gun violence, that we are aware of their activities and we remove them from the community, and then nothing happens to them, it really removes the accountability, or the individuals feel like there's no consequences for what they're doing. And that's been one of the biggest challenges that we have, more so than staffing or more so than funding than anything.
It's just a small fraction of people in Oakland who are responsible for most of the shootings that we see. That's what the data shows us. How does your unit effectively identify the people in the city who are most at risk of committing violence?
Well, we have a heavy reliance on data. The Ceasefire model is driven by data, and you're right. It sometimes with the community, it may feel like there's a lot of people in the community committing violence, but we just had the University of Pennsylvania come do a study of our shootings and homicides over the last 2 years, and it is only a very small percentage of the community, 0.4% of the community that's involved in this type of activity. And we track every single shooting and homicide, meet regularly with our partners, and so we're always aware of who's involved in the violence. And so we just have a robust intelligence and data collection system in place that lets us know who we should be focused on and who we should be communicating with. And we only focus on the people that are involved in the gun violence. We're not trying to deal with low-level crimes, people who are involved in fraud or drug offenses. Mm-hmm. The program really focuses on gun violence and trying to work with the community and our partners to steer people away from the street life and into services so that they become productive members of the society, and we don't have to target them with enforcement or things of that nature.
Finally, Captain, before I let you go.
Ultimately, that's what we want.
Yeah, that's the outcome you're hoping for. If you can get the Ceasefire program fully operational, as you said, you've had some staffing issues. If you can get it fully operational, how much of a difference do you think it can make in a real immediate sense to try to stem the wave of violence you're seeing right now in the city?
Well, we've seen it cut homicides and shootings in half. Homicides are just part of the problem. The non-fatal shootings are just as traumatic to the community as homicides. And we've seen it work before. And the data still tells us that our biggest challenges in Oakland is gun violence between groups and gangs and retaliatory shootings that occur as a result of these conflicts. And so as long as Ceasefire continues to focus on those groups, properly staffed, and our partners, working with our partners, we should be able to have an immediate impact on the violence. But the key is that all of the parts of Ceasefire have to work, including the courts and our other partners in the law enforcement and criminal justice system.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is a collaborative effort, or it has to be, to try to do something about what we're seeing. Appreciate you taking the time. A really important conversation. Oakland Police Captain Tony Jones, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.